Did I strike Clayton Oliver?
To be honest, it's probably more of a play on call, is like.
How do you umpire those sorts of games when you've got a pest like that?
Yeah, run up to me and goes, "Come on, Brett, get up and about." And he's tried to high five me as he's running past me, and I'm literally just.
There's not a lot of time to sort of sit there and go, "Gee, this is a good game."
Every umpire wants to do the grand final. Every umpire thinks they're good enough to do the grand final.
No bigger umpiring decision in my career than Dom Sheed from the boundary, and you were the man in charge. Well, here we go. Brett Rosebury joins us, ladies and gentlemen, in the new studio. Daniel, are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Brett, are you excited?
Very excited. Nice new digs. Very good. Like what you've done.
First guest. So welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Brett Rosebury, the GOAT. I would say the GOAT of umpiring.
It's not often that you can comfortably roll with the GOAT. There's a lot of debate around GOAT status on athletes and stuff.
I've given it.
We've definitely given it.
Brett Rosebury, most games umpired in the history of the game. We know you can do that. I know you may be a fan of BackChat. If you're not, here on BackChat, powered by Fleet Network in season 2024. We asked this, the first question is the same to every guest. So we know you've umpired the most games in the history of the game. We know that you're the second most capped grand final umpire in the history. Been umpiring for a long time. There's players right now that you umpire their dads. We know that. Okay? You can umpire. We want to know your greatest sporting achievement. And because you're an umpire, I'll give you open slather. Usually it's not in your chosen field. So
are we letting AFL Aussie rules?
If he tells me he won the under 16 Brownlow medal back in the day, you'd pay that, wouldn't you? Because he's an umpire now.
Yeah.
So your greatest sporting achievement, Brett, what is it?
Greatest sporting achievement, maybe.
It can be rogue.
It'd be Little Athletics days.
Yes, great. He understands.
So I did win a bronze medal in a 4x400 relay, probably under 15s at Perry Lakes back in the day.
Wow.
And since then, I'm actually in the Little Athletics Hall of Fame.
What?
For
my umpiring achievements. They honour all former Little Athletes, Little Athletics, people that have gone on to do things outside of Little Athletics.
Is that a national award?
Yeah, you're not in it.
What the fuck?
That's crazy. That's good.
Little Ass was my.
There's a
I was a runner.
Big gala dinner every year. You're not in it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Look at him. He's so chuffed. Just remember, you're an umpire and I'm a player here.
Also,
so we haven't had a good relationship over the years.
The Perry Lakes, that would have been like the heyday of Perry Lakes Stadium, right, where all the Little Athletics went on. Now it's a bit crap.
Perth Commonwealth Games probably would have been like the heyday. Like when
yeah,
it was
that's
built.
true.
Yeah, I think the highlight of Perry Lakes was really that KFC van up on the hill, really, that was there over the
Was
years.
there?
Yeah.
That's good.
So you're a WA boy, born and raised here?
Yeah, yep.
What's life growing up like for Brett? Is it sporty? Are you from a sporting family?
Yeah. Big sporting family, but grew up in Armidale, so cut my teeth down there and stole my first car and stole people's bikes down there. No, just jokes.
Shout out Armidale.
Yeah, shout out to all my brothers and sisters in Armidale. It was a great place. We had lots of fun, but yeah, it was always a footy or a basketball in my hand with my mates, and after school every day we'd be down the park kicking goals or pretending we were Tony Lockett or Gary Ablett snapping shots from in the pocket. It was a great childhood down there, a bit of fun. My mum played soccer for Australia and the state a lot, so she was a big sporting person back then. So yeah, sort of when I was born, she was finishing that up a little bit a few years later. But yeah, my mum, big sporting background. But yeah,
She played for Australia.
Yeah, back in the day before the Matildas were really anything.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So there's two people here with Australian connections.
That's
Dan
true.
just made the Australian team for fistball, playing
Congrats.
against New
Thanks,
Zealand.
mate. I know you know a lot about fistball, so that means a lot coming from you.
Google it up.
It's not about us though today.
No,
is
it's
it?
not. No,
So-
we can talk about that another time.
Do you play footy growing up?
Yeah, I played. Started playing soccer actually. So I grew up obviously soccer family and played soccer, and then about under 13s changed to AFL.
Yeah.
Took up that and just used to love that. All my mates at school were playing footy, so that was the main reason I started playing school footy and then club footy, and just used to run around and abuse the shit out of the umpires all day. To be honest, so all my mates just laughed when I took up umpiring.
Was that in school?
Yes, at school, and took it up, rang the local umpire's boss after a game in the area, and I said, how do I get involved? Because you guys are shit. So I was probably a little cocky little kid of that, a bit of confidence, and maybe you need that to survive AFL umpiring world. But yeah, I sort of did an under 10s game the following week. He was like, come on down. We're always looking for smart asses like yourself. And
Really?
went down there, remember vividly, under 10s game at Gwyn Park on a Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Got paid me $25 cash after the game.
It's pretty good money.
Yeah, back then, yeah, it was great money. And sort of loved it and kept playing up until under 17s and just umpired on the off day. And then eventually got invited to go down to a WAFL talent squad, young umpires that were identified as a 16-year-old. And they said we wanted to come down this talent squad and go umpire Waffle Colts footy. And I was like, yeah, cool. A few of my mates just gone to Perth Colts or South Fremantle Colts. And I was like, I'm going to get to umpire my mates. That would be pretty cool in the Waffle. And they said, yeah, come down, but you have to give up playing because you're an idiot on the field. We can't have you being an umpire at the Waffle and still playing.
A bit of white line fever.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, something about me. I just got out there and I wasn't like fighting and that, but it just would be just annoying.
Stirring shit.
Yes. I'd start something, then run off probably more so. It was my go.
So at this point, having umpired the most AFL games in history, do you understand the shit stirrers then?
Yeah, I've seen it. Like Scott Campriali was like one of the best. And like, that's going back a bit, but his dad was an umpire. So I sort of understood him. The way that he used to run around. And he's always in good natured, but he'd be chirping the whole day. The game has changed a lot, not so much that anymore. And microphones have come in. It's changed the nature of the banter between us and the players. Go back the early days and Wayne Carey would be giving you a feedback and 19-year-old Brett gave him just as much feedback back, to be honest.
Right.
Like that's the nature of what it was back then. So it's cleaned up a lot, I think for the best, and a lot more healthy mutual respect between the players and umpires.
So you started in 2000, so
yeah.
I'm just looking at that. I was like, that is a long time ago. So, that's a quarter of a century ago, almost. Do you think, I know times have moved on, but there was clearly a difference in how people interacted back then. So it was just a different game on all aspects, I suppose.
Yeah, people were harder back then. Not so
yeah, I'd agree.
Not so soft these days, but it's just, I think the whole professionalism of the code also improved and evolved and we became more professional in our role and stuff like that. And
players did too, right?
And social media came in, and then ultimately, the whole AFL became this national brand that everything that happened on the AFL field filters down to junior regions. So that's why a lot of the stuff needed to be cleaned up between the respect between players and umpires and making it look like it was a much better place where we're at today.
You must have been somewhat of a natural. You umpired in the Waffle as an 18-year-old and grand final that first year.
Yeah,
like that's a decent progression. That's like debuting and then playing it, for a player, right?
Yeah, I was 16 when I went down to that Waffle academy and started umpiring Colts footy at 17, I think, 16 or 17. But we'd go to the country on the Sunday. So we'd drive from Armidale to Joondalup at 8:30 in the morning for a kickoff.
Wow.
And then Sunday we'd get picked up, 3 umpires, dropped at Williams, Narrogin and Wagen, and we'd go and umpire country footy as 17-year-old kids. But we were the Waffle umpires coming to the country town and umpiring a local umpire. So we'd get dropped off, one umpire in each town. You'd umpire with a local umpire, and you'd umpire the senior men's country footy at Wagen or Cooker and Dumbleyoung.
Wow.
So that's where you really learn to umpire and manage games of footy. And then by the time the car came back and picked you up, you were pissed because they'd taken you to the club rooms after and you'd been drinking with the home team. And if you were the first stop, you're always the drunkest by the time the car got back to you. So there was many of long road trips back on it. But yeah, like
it sounds great.
The fondest memories, like seriously, like Dean and I did these trips many a times. We've had to run for the cars at different stages where a few of the locals started to come and have a fight and settle a dispute from the night before on the field. So,
well, as a young umpire, you would have seen some fights. You would have seen
tough, like super tough footy, like quality footy back then too in the country. And then the other thing that really, I think, helped my development was I went and umpired an off season. So Waffle finished, and I went to Darwin and umpired a season in Darwin. And I had 18 reports in one season.
Wow.
And that wasn't because I lost control. And that wasn't, so it was tough footy, and I was 18 and went up there with 2 other Waffle umpires and looked at it as a bit of a 6-month sabbatical. So maybe I matured like as a young person pretty quickly because of a couple of these all umpiring experiences.
Yeah.
Moved out of home, went to Darwin, lived up there for 6 months, and then came back to Perth straight into the next Waffle season.
Yes.
And then did the Waffle Grand Final, and then got an AFL trial, and then got on the AFL straight away. So, like, there's no doubt I wasn't expected to get on that AFL trial. I was 19.
Yeah.
And the Geesh and Rowan Saws at the time gave me an opportunity. And I actually took it with both hands, or umpired pretty well and again, this is how old I am. I umpired the Ansett Cup.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
The defunct airline.
No longer Ansett Cup.
That's great.
So there'll be many references today where you'll realise how old I am.
What's a harder crowd to umpire in front of, a country local crowd or like 100,000 at the G crowd?
Oh, probably, back then that was probably the hardest crowd, intimidating for a 17-year-old to go out there and umpire the senior men's footy and, Narrogin versus Towns local derby. And
you don't get security off the ground.
No.
There's no lock on the umpire's room either.
You're just hoping that your bag hasn't been stolen in the umpire's rooms back then in the day. But, so look, that would have been intimidating back then. And, but umpiring a Waffle league game would have been just as intimidating.
Yeah.
Like I went back to Lathlane Park today and umpired the Eagles training session. I've not been back to Lathlane Park in 25 years. So, since I last umpired there. But, to be honest, the hardest place I've ever umpired was the prelim final last year, Collingwood GWS,
Really?
100,000 at the G, 99,000 Collingwood supporters, and the most intense experience I've ever experienced as an umpire.
Is that right?
Yeah, I wish I could take people inside, out into the middle of the ground, to what it was like, the noise, the intensity, the pressure that's coming, the whole game, let alone the contest.
Yeah.
Let alone the contest and how tough and amazing the game was. Everything else around it that just came our way was like nothing I'd experienced. And here I was just 500 games in. Like, it's remarkable AFL footy, how it can challenge you.
I always find that interesting from an umpire's point of view. So players, when they get to the end of their career, they've seen what they've seen. But, for me, West Coast only crowds with, Collingwood, whoever, you get to see everything and the big games and the grand finals, and you see, Collingwood Carlton, but you also see, Essendon Melbourne, and then a Sydney GWS game, like everything. So to hear that Collingwood GWS was the loudest, like that's I think it's surprising, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt.
Wow.
No doubt the loudest, bigger than any other game.
Why do you think that was? Because you've umpired 9 grand finals.
Yeah, but grand final day is always a bit of corporate crowd, right? So prelim final is always the greatest atmosphere, greatest intensity, maybe Anzac Day if it's a close game.
Yes.
But prelim finals generally are always the most pressure, greatest expectation on everyone. And it's the 2 home teams. There's no corporates really there.
Yeah.
That are all there for grand final day. So prelims have always been like that. But having 98,000 in one team, generally if it's Collingwood Richmond, it's split 45-45, right? So 50-50, so.
And it was a cracking game too, wasn't it?
Cracking game,
Yeah.
like you could not hear the boundary umpire's whistle the whole day. You're forever looking, like everything about it was just crazy.
Is there any point when you're umpiring, you're able to sort of look at it as a great game? You're like, because again, I'm just going to keep referring to a player umpire, like you're playing. There's not a lot of time to sort of sit there and go, gee, this is a good game. For you, you're trying to make decisions, you're trying to manage the game. For players, trying to beat their man, whatever it is. Do you get much where you get to bird's eye a bit?
Not so much. You can appreciate moments. You go, oh, that was an amazing goal, or how good was that mark? If you're out of the play, you can see someone jump on someone's head, or you can, if you're behind the kick and it goes through for a goal, you can appreciate moments.
Yes.
or if a team's got a run on, you can appreciate that, and you can understand like momentum has swung here, or the game intensity has gone up. We can feel that, but is it a great game? Sometimes we get to quarter time, we're like, is this a good game? Or then someone will press on and be like, oh, cracking game, cracking contest. I'm like, oh, okay. We weren't sure, like you're just so in the moment umpiring and concentrating most of the time. Like everything is just background noise and a bit of a blur in some regards. Like if you're not concentrating, and you know this, like when you're in the forward line and, you're getting the ice cubes at the back of the head, or if you're, if you want to hear every comment from the cheer squad, you will hear it.
Yep.
But that means you're not in the game, and you're probably going to have 4 kicked on you or something like that.
Probably nice.
Good day for
it. Yeah. Australia kicked 8 on me in the first game. That was probably a bad day.
But so if you want to hear those comments, you'll hear them, but you'll literally have a shocking day. Some people might say, I'm always hearing them because I'm having a shocking day. But anyway, it's, But generally, we're always in that moment, umpiring, contest to contest. We're instinctive, so we're a bit robotic. At times we might look robotic because that's the nature of how we decision make. Either we've made it or we haven't, and then our mate might save us if we've made the wrong call. It's that kind of scenario.
What about for individual performances? Like, you can't tell if it's a good game, but can you go, man, that guy is just killing it today?
Yeah. Like, obviously we still do the Brownlow, and that, that's something we take really seriously. And, at times it's easy, and then other days it can be difficult where you're like, we've really got 3 or 4 field umpires in that room after the game, go through that team sheet and process of elimination and bring it back to who had the biggest influence on the game when it mattered the most. And things have evolved. 2 or 3 goals now is quite big in today's game. 3 or 4 goals can be a big influence.
Yeah,
is where 10 goals used to be the standard for a big influence as a goal kicker. So it's at times it's easy to know who's playing very well, especially where there are stoppages and you're seeing Chris Judd take possession and break that contest every single stoppage. Well, he's having a good day. And Gary Ablett's the same, getting leather poisoning and stuff like that. So it's at times it's probably more the defenders that we may not know how many
that's absolutely right.
intercept marks.
Underappreciated.
All those, spoils they've done, or, triple kicks the boundary line, so they haven't gone out insufficient intent.
Correct. You like playing those ones. I would ask how many games could be won without a backline. I probably would ask that. You could win it without a midfield because the backline would still stop it. But you couldn't do it without backline. Anyway, I'm off track. So post-game then, how far after a game are you sitting down to give Brownlow votes? And so you clearly have to assess the game at the back end, right?
Yeah, so within that half an hour, once we've gone in there, we go together, go into a private space.
Separately?
No, the field umpires all come together.
Yeah.
And we just, ultimately, usually the senior person will let everyone else speak first because you don't want to, influence them or bully them into someone. But, really just give everyone a voice and go through that team sheet. And ultimately we pick out about, I reckon, six players. Generally, usually how it starts is that we'll have about 6 players. And then we've unfortunately got to filter it down to 3, and that's why you're always been a notable, mention for that 4th vote that wasn't there.
I was going to ask if there was anything like that.
Yeah, so we would love to split a vote or honourable mention to players quite often. But
couple of ones.
Yeah. We don't have that luxury, unfortunately. And
they gave them 6 and they could just split it up, like 6 ones.
6 ones.
I'm sure
that's what Channel 9 get to do on the footy show.
Correct.
That's true.
Give everyone 6 votes. That's pretty easy, sitting on the fence.
I don't know if players would be stoked with an honourable mention. Imagine they read out 3-1 and honourable mention Will Schofield. You'd be like,
I would have, to be honest. I'm really happy with that because I got one Brownlow vote.
Did you? Did I give it to you?
So I checked.
Okay.
Look, it wasn't hard to find because it was just one game another game, and I actually picked the wrong game, and it was versus Carlton, and I knew what year it was, and I picked one of the Carlton games, and you were the umpire in the other Carlton game.
Okay.
But I didn't get votes in that one. No, you.
Did you deserve a vote, or you should have got 2 that day?
Look, that's actually a good question. I had 16 and kicked 1 from a back flank. Like, is that?
Oh, not bad.
Like, is that
16-1.
I had 7 bounces.
That would have brought the attention
Yeah.
in. That's Lewis Jetta style.
Yes, not as quick as Jets and can't get the ball as far as well either. But yeah, it's
intercept marks or
probably not,
spoils? Or
mate.
no,
Probably not.
Okay.
Just
Oh,
like 194 for one game for a Brownlow vote. Like, I think that's, I'm very, very, very close to falling into the no votes over a long period of time. There's
right.
about 5 players in that realm.
Okay.
Nick Smith being one of those.
Okay.
From Sydney, Dow defender.
Good player. Yeah.
Yes, no Brownlow vote. So I did get one time out of that group.
Yeah.
Let's go back to you. Enough from me. So you debut in 2000, v St Kilda, Freo v St Kilda, Subi.
Yep.
So it's a home game, Western Australia for you.
Yeah.
Did you have family and friends there?
Yeah.
Do you remember the day?
Yeah, I remember it. It was pretty
moment.
big day, big moment. 19-year-old just turned 20-year-old kid going out there. And I was wearing number 8, so took over that number from Peter Carey.
Did you?
Who had retired. So when I got presented that shirt, it was giving you the number 8, but never marked the footy.
I was going to say, because was it the year before he marked it? Was it 99 that he marked the ball?
It was
Subi?
Fremantle, St Kilda too.
Yeah, it was too.
wow.
So
Wow.
so that was maybe a bit of an irony. But
So you've had number 8 your whole career. You didn't want to upgrade from 8. 8's pretty good.
8's pretty good. It's pretty lucky in some way.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty good number. Peter Carey was a legend of the game at that stage and grand final umpire and one of these legends that had umpired through the 80s and into the 90s.
Do you get is it a handover? Like it?
Yeah, like we did that pretty well with.
That's cool.
Yeah, not sure we've got too many umpires coming back to present. Now we've gone into the 40s and stuff like that. But
Yes. Did they let you bounce with your first bounce?
yeah, so I took the first bounce.
Is that a thing? Like the umpires try to do
It
that?
sort of was, not so much these days. It's an option if the umpire wants it. Yeah, so.
Yeah, how do you decide who gets the first bounce?
Generally, it's who's the safest bet, who's the best bouncer. There's some guys that love it, right? There's some guys who are like, give me that bounce they would take every one if they could.
How did you bounce it first up?
Yeah, it was a good one.
Was it?
So,
Yeah,
it
loves
was
it.
perfect one. So so
that must be somewhat nerve wracking. That's a big moment, first game.
Yeah, it would have been, no doubt, would have been nervous. Which is a bit crazy in some regards that you're so stressed about bouncing a football.
I saw you're on the bench for the Demolition Derby that year. Is that right?
Yeah.
You're emergency umpire.
Yeah.
So did you have to go running out there to try and split some up?
Yeah, it was me and my parachute tracksuit pants running out to the Subiaco end of Subiaco Oval, and there it was Matthew Pavlich and Gardner going toe to toe.
Yes.
And little old me wandering out there saying, "Break it up, guys."
Are you in the footage? There must be footage of
Is
you.
that you in there?
Guys.
Yeah. There's good footage of that game. I think I ran out into the ground over 20 times that day. It's like the busiest emergency umpire in history.
How often would it usually happen as an emergency?
Oh, I would have gone out maybe once a game, if that. But that day, goal square before the game started. So you're ultimately out there to let the umpires just get on with the game and ultimately match manage or babysit and just sort of stand there and see what happens. And really, if they punch someone, then you report them. But that's it. Really. At those days, you had no power as the emergency to do anything. And then looked up, and the other end of the ground was Dale Kickett and Phil Reed on the ground wrestling. Probably one of 10 wrestles for the day on the ground.
And there was some proper punch-ons. It wasn't just a wrestle. It was
ran all that way down there. And just those two just went at each other the whole day. It was unbelievable. And then you've seen this footage because it gets played that game 3-4 times a year.
Yeah, it's folklore.
Not just leading into the Derby, but Stephen Hanley was the umpire and Phil Matera absolutely shit mixed him. He was running back as the end zone into the corridor. Phil Matera was on a big, long lead up, about to be hit up and mark. And Stephen Hanley, the umpire, backed into his path. And he absolutely got crunched. Get the vision of it. It is unbelievable. I don't know how he got up. He literally broke his neck. Like his neck went in different places.
Gee.
He got up and came running to the bench, and he's like signaling to me on the bench, "I need your shirt." And I'm like, "What?" And he's got blood all over his shirt from the collision.
His blood or
No, Matera's blood that's gone all over him. Anyway, so there I went. At this stage, I was a 19-year-old skinny kid on the boundary at Subiaco Oval. I've had to take off my shirt in front of the whole crowd. Skinless, topless at Subiaco Oval.
People would have been giving it to
Oh, would have weighed all about 64 kilos. And I gave him my shirt, and my shirt went out there and umpired its first Western Derby.
you. Wow.
So,
That's a good
And I
story.
quickly went into the bunker and put on a jacket.
That's all, back go the tracksuit pants on. That's a ripper.
Crazy day.
So, I mean, you've umpired some big moments, and there's one in particular we will get to that I do want to talk about in detail. But in terms of like a vicious crowd, like those Derby crowds, but I was a Geelong supporter, and I know you umpired when Milburn hit Silvani,
Oh, yeah. Wow.
and Milburn was my favourite player. He's
Yeah.
was because I've got different players now, but like at the time, he was my favourite player.
Yeah.
Dower defender, number 39,
Yeah.
and he cleaned out the favourite son of Carlton.
Stephen Silvani.
Were you controlling?
I wasn't, but in those days, you're all pretty close, and you could almost see it unfold. It was late in the game. I think the game was over. It was not really a contest. And last game of the season, and Darren Milburn, Stephen Silvani was going for a mark, and Darren Milburn just jumped up and literally just took him
Killed
out,
him.
and killed Bambi
Yes.
at Princess Park with 24,000 irate Carlton supporters. And it wasn't long. It was a big delay, obviously, because I think he got stretchered.
Yeah.
And so big delay. And you could just sense that the crowd, the tone changed, and it was just like anger. And probably, it was like, are they going to jump the fence here and come for Milburn? Or it was a bit more of a car park scene post-game. So I got into the rooms after the game, and the umpires' rooms in those days were down the old race, and the Geelong and the umpires' rooms were near each other. And
Right.
it was, the amount of security to usher the Geelong players to the car park or to the bus, and
People were waiting out the front.
waiting out the front. Like, they were rattling the cage,
Really?
They were angry.
Have you had
So
much?
there's a bug there.
Go on.
Did I get it?
No, there it is. Look at the skills on the man.
No, not sure.
Sorry, you scared him.
Sorry.
No, does it like, I know scenes like that, you're not knocking anyone out, but from an umpire's point of view, through the years, has there been times where there's been security issues or like where there's crowds that are?
Yeah, I've never felt it like during a game. Like, I've never felt it. Like, you can, like, the crowd boo and they carry on. A lot of it's theatre. Hopefully it's not too personal. Who knows? Never really felt like I've been at risk or anything like that. Got one death threat, but that was just social media.
That's not ideal.
Not ideal.
That's not good at all.
No, so I was umpiring a Sydney Carlton game, and got a death threat through that. But AFL was pretty good in that space. The integrity department and the police take all that stuff very serious, and they arrested the guy.
Did they?
Yeah, they arrested the guy.
They just shoot. You can't go around saying you're going to kill people.
Yeah, so ultimately we had to go in and make a police statement and stuff like that. And ultimately I just said, look, I don't want to press charges, but just ultimately give him a scare. So they ultimately went and arrested him, put him in the wagon, took him to the.
It's pretty crazy how it's the ultimate like passion. It's just sport, and it's just footy, and then people just lose their minds a little bit.
Yeah, Friday night sitting at home, probably had too many beers and just probably gambling too much on the game, and one decision here or there. And to be honest, I'm not even sure I'd paid a decision that day that was, I think it was just the vibe that he was not happy with maybe from previous weeks. So probably got more of a clip over the ear from his missus when he got home and embarrassed him that way, to be honest. But yeah, look, I've been really fortunate, like, that anyone that meets me, unfortunately sort of semi-likes you, or they're like, geez, I'm hate that I've met you, because now when I watch football, I'm watching, is that Brett umpiring, or I'm at a game and I see you umpiring and I end up watching you run around. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I watching the umpire? But I have that effect on people. Once you meet me, your perception of umpires can change a little bit, which is interesting.
Well, I wouldn't say it's too dissimilar to those players that you love to hate, right? Like, and I think of probably for me at some point during my career, but like a Ballantyne in Fremantle in this state, right?
Yeah.
People West Coast fans hate him. And I know Bell as well, been on this podcast, great bloke. And when you meet him, like, you're a really good bloke and you understand, well, for him, it's the, not white line fever so much, but he loved winning. And so that angst that was brought on the field was just a competitive nature. Yeah. For umpires, it's a little different.
Yeah, like
they see
Hayden would have, he used to do a few little things maybe to annoy people.
It sounds like you're a Ballantyne type operator though on the field as a player.
Well, yeah, but you'd look at the footy fixture and you see Fremantle Geelong, and you'd be like, I do not want that game. That is Matty Scarlett and Hayden Ballantyne, and you'd be like, bit of a tight calf this week if I got that game. Definitely don't want that game.
How do you umpire those sorts of games when you've got a pest like that?
Yeah.
Because it must be hard not to be watching them to do something.
Yeah, so you probably just get to the point where you just go, okay, I'm not even going to warn those kind of players today. I'm just zero tolerance, because the best way to manage them is paying a free kick. Because if they see you managing them, they'll just keep pushing it and they'll know, he's not going to pay a free. He's going to be 2 or 3 warnings here, so I'll just keep giving him elbows in the back or this kind of stuff. So, generally we would like to work with players and manage them and, do that kind of stuff. But at times it's like, don't even warn today. Just take control of that. The first time they step over the line, they lose that opportunity based on maybe some priors.
The phone call from Ross Lyon on the other end, Ballas is more scared of that.
So that's true.
Okay, no,
giving away a free kick.
Sorry, Rhett.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep throwing big moments I think you've been involved in just to hear your thoughts on it. 2006, so we're moving forward a little bit. The Sirengate game in Tassie, you're umpiring.
Yeah.
Did you hear the siren?
I thought I heard something. Like I was only on the bench, and maybe I heard the timekeeper tap on the screen.
Right. So you're emergency, or you're?
I was emergency, so not out there, but thought I heard something, and then just saw Fremantle bench move and sort of stand up a little bit, and I was like, what's just happened then? And then, but Saints didn't really move, and then just watching the game, and then players all started to react a little bit, and then Matty Nichols bounced the ball, and then
someone scored, didn't they?
Then they
when the scores were level.
Game went on for another 30 seconds.
Siren
maybe
went
15 seconds.
Draw. Game went on. Yeah. Someone scored, won the game.
Stephen Baker.
Yes.
Kicked a point, maybe. Kicked a point.
Won the game.
And ultimately Saints ended up winning. So you can imagine then that Chris Connolly at the time, he's like, in that 30 seconds, he's come down from the grandstand to on the ground, and he's like, he's not happy. Him and Lenny Hayes have fronted up to each other, and we're running for the rooms because we could sense something had happened. Going to the rooms, and Hayden Kennedy, Michael Vozzo, and Matt Nichols. I was like, what happened then? And they're like, no idea. And someone goes, the siren went. And we're like, what? And then just ultimately the chaos that unfolded at the airport post-game. And then we all flew back into Melbourne. And
what was happening at the airport?
Oh, just the media scrum.
Mayhem.
And mayhem. Like, I've never seen cameras like it.
Trying to get comments out of you blokes?
Everyone, just chaos.
Tassie pulling up all stops of the media scrum.
Oh, it was...
Everyone in Tassie down to the airport.
Yeah, remarkable moment in time, and just, the timekeeper pressed the button and packed up his stuff and was on his way, not realising the game was still going.
Now, I'm going to have to keep moving through the years here because, as I said at the start, we got 25 to get through. So, but I feel like this is a really important one for you at least. I read a few articles heard you speak about it before 2008. You named All-Australian umpire, best umpire in the land.
Yeah.
Don't umpire the grand final. What's that like? I certainly can't empathise with you. Don't know what that would feel like, but being named the best by whoever calls that and then not doing what you're there to do must have been hard.
Yeah, it was pretty shattering at the time. Obviously had a really, really good season. Got All-Australian, and they announced it the week before round one of the finals. So got announced at the All-Australian dinner and got recognised. And so from that point of view, it was amazing. And then obviously came the pressure and the expectation that everyone was like, oh, you've got the grand final automatic. That was just, you're going to do the grand final automatically. And week one, umpired Melbourne St Kilda. and it was umpired okay. Probably had like 3 or 4 errors, nothing too major, but just probably enough things to bubble up that maybe made the coaches think, oh, maybe I'm not quite ready. And then week 2 went a bit better, and then prelim umpired St Kilda Hawthorn. It was a 100-point drubbing. It might have been 80, 90-point drubbing at the G. And late in the game, someone got thrown into the fence, and I just did nothing about it. And I just, there's just probably stuff like that just concentration, or maybe I was thinking about next week too much and the stuff like that, and maybe I umpired. Yeah, clearly showed or gave them a reason not to pick me, and that I wasn't quite ready to umpire a grand final, and to umpire a grand final, from the AFL to appoint people, it's a huge responsibility, and it's not something that they hand out lightly, and you really have to earn it. So that was a tough lesson, back then. But you can sort of sulk all pre-season, or umpiring is very much 3 guys get to do the grand final every year.
Yeah, it's cutthroat.
So that's 10% of less than 10% of your list. So ultimately, there's a lot of losers every year on our list in some regards. Back then was the nature of and how you looked at it. So it was tough, but just went back to work, and that's all you can do every year, no matter how your season finishes. 1 final, 2 finals, 3 finals. You just come back again next year and try and improve where you feel you need to improve, and ultimately just try and be consistent every week, and ultimately just try and get appointed to 1 final, because once you get appointed to 1 final, you give yourself a chance to be selected for a grand final. And that's how I've really, dealt with it over the years and thought about it. I haven't thought too much about that week to week or finals or grand finals. Just umpire, make the finals panel, and then ultimately give yourself a chance.
It's really interesting hearing that. It's what was basically drummed into me as a player, like my whole career was, and I don't think people would look at the umpiring fraternity and think the same is thought. That as a player, you're trying to make finals, and then whoever plays best in finals wins the flag. And it's the same for you blokes. Yeah. With probably a little bit more cutthroat, given there's only 3 people at the end of it.
Yeah, well, and it's very much like that in our home and away decision making. From contest to contest to quarter, like
one decision.
One decision there could hold the man against you inside 50.
You played a few of those, yeah.
Yeah, and then and then you get on with it. Like you can't worry about that, whether that was right or wrong.
Yes.
Like clearly wrong.
Correct. I don't think you ever paid a correct free kick with me involved. like unless it was in the affirmative, of course, and then it's brilliant umpiring at Rosebury. But very rarely did you give it to the defender. That's very good. So you bounce back from that. You clearly use it as some drive to then go on to, I would say greatness as an umpire. You went on a grand final run and umpire your next grand final the next year.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah, your first one.
Yeah, so was able to umpire that 2009 grand final and take the first bounce, and was lucky it was...
Good one?
Well, it was raining all pre-game, so there was a bit about, are we going to bounce or not? And then everyone was like, well, you have to bounce the first one. And we're lucky there was a stage. It wasn't the Batmobile, but I'm not that old.
Angry Anderson.
But there was a stage covering the centre circle all pre-game, so we're pretty lucky that it was dry, and then bounced the first one. It was straight, so it was a good one.
And then you got to double up.
Got double up. So
the drawn grand final.
The drawn grand final, and then got the double paycheck the following week. So that was a good cash bonus the following week. So
what was that feeling like for umpires at a drawn grand final?
Well, pretty flat, to be honest. And we didn't even win. We don't win or lose, right? So I can only imagine what the players were going through. They didn't win or lose, so they would have been flat as pancakes. I know they were. I've spoken to Nick Maxwell and Lee Montagna about this, and we were flat. Still on at Thursday, we were like, oh, how are we going to get up for another grand final? We'd got so many pats on the back from the drawn grand final. How good was the umpiring? They umpired so well.
Yeah, right.
Because everyone, I think, was just happy about the draw. And it was like, we're on a hiding to nothing here. We can't go better next week. I don't think we can go better. It can only go worse. So when the game blew out, ultimately no one really cares about the umpiring in a grand final when the score blows out. So
it's a good point.
People only care about umpiring in close grand finals.
It's a good
Were
point.
you confused at all at the end of that one? Because like even the players were unsure of what was meant to happen.
No, we knew what was the outcome.
Had
obviously.
you spoken about it beforehand?
Well, we speak about the drawn scenario during the finals because it's always extra time. But when you grand final day, there's no extra time. So probably about 2 minutes to go, it was like, oof. Well, at 3/4 time, we mentioned it. Sean, Ryan, and Ray Chamberlain, myself, we were like, oh, could be a draw here, boys, And we just sort of made a bit of a joke about it. And then 2 minutes to go, it's like, oh, game on here. And literally 2 minutes of contested footy and just the ball not really moving. And
Are you boys able to speak to each other with mics?
Yeah.
How long's that been in for?
It's been in for a while, probably since about 04,
Right.
05.
And so how much are you guys speaking?
Yeah, all the time. Yep. So all 3, 4 field umpires now, we're all wired up. We're all live communication, open mic the whole game. So yeah, it's we couldn't umpire without it.
Nah.
Like literally. So people complain, I don't want to hear the umpires through the broadcast. That's fine.
Yes.
We have it on for us because we could not umpire without it. There would just be confusion, not knowing who's paid what free kick and stuff like that. It would be chaos.
Does the AFL listen in on that, or is it?
Yeah. So we're our match day coach. So we've got field umpire coaches at every game doing our coaching and assessing. There's people in the ARC that are listening in. There's all the Channel 7 bunker and commentators have a feed to it, and there's someone mixing that, putting it up and down. But our live feed between the umpires is all game.
So it's strictly business. You can't like have any chatter in it.
No, you need to be really professional about what's being discussed, knowing that there is always someone listening. And fans used to be able to click in and wire into a particular station and listen in, but I'm not sure they can do that anymore.
So you went 9, 10, 10, 11, 12, 13. Not sure what you were doing in 14. 15. So you had a good run of grand finals. 15. Don't really need to talk about that too much.
Didn't take your chances that day.
Wow.
Windy.
I don't think it had anything to do with the umpires, so I'll give you that credit.
Definitely not us that day.
That was that was a blowout from a playing point of view. But, through that period as an umpire, you umpire a lot of grand finals.
Yeah, obviously we're very fortunate, had a very consistent run, and, a lot of those were really close, great grand finals too, so I was very fortunate to test yourself ultimately on the biggest stage, being close. So
we won't talk about 15, but moving a little bit further on, this is an item I want to discuss with you. It happened in 2017. As an umpire, yes, you've got to pay free kicks and you've got to adjudicate the game and bounces, but also you've got to, when required, officiate to the laws of the game when there's suspensions required. Yeah. So you suspended me one day.
Reported you.
Sorry. You reported me one day. That's right. The tribunal suspended me. So you reported me one day. The siren had gone, actually. It was after the siren, which is pretty rare to get reported when there's no play happening.
You going to tell the truth of this story, or are we getting there?
That is what happened, isn't it? Oh, was I reported on the spot?
You were reported on the spot.
Right.
You
I would like you to tell the story.
Yeah.
So it was halftime. I believe it was halftime.
Yeah. You and Clayton Oliver at the time came towards each other.
Yes.
And you moved towards him, and I think you went to use your elbow into his chest, but missed his chest and got him into the jaw.
Did I?
That's how I saw it,
Is that right?
Your Honour.
I was going to say, are we in the tribunal right
now? And then, so we went to the tribunal, and your very good QC, David Grace.
Good, Gracie.
Grilled me. I was the one that had hit someone, apparently, and showed me 7 or 8, 9 still frame photos of the incident, and you sat there not saying anything, and I was the one at the tribunal getting grilled for an hour. And in the end, I was like, I actually don't care whether he hit him or not. Like, honestly, seriously, I could not care if he hit him or not. What I saw, do what you want. Like, literally, I got to that point, and 2 minutes later, case thrown out, off you went, dismissed.
Oh, mate, that is brilliantly described. So if I can take it back, I'll pull you up somewhat. I wasn't moving towards anybody. I was standing there, just trying to get through the play. This is what I said to the tribunal anyway. standing there, just getting one of my teammates, Luke Shuey, out of the muck. And next thing I know, Clayton Oliver's right in front of me. I'm just trying to go back to my rooms. I used my elbow in a forceful manner, yes, to move Clayton out of the way so I could continue my pathway to the rooms. Where I hit him, I'm not quite sure. We did spend at least 2 hours coming up with the term to use. And I do remember what I said because we didn't want to say glanced or, nudged or hit or struck. So we used feathered because we felt like feathered inferred quite a soft touch. Yeah. So I feathered Clayton's chin. Yes, I did make contact, but it was a feathering, if anything. Look, I don't... I don't know. But you were right there and you reported me on the spot. And I remember the tribunal because Gracie had come up with these, I'm going to show him these still slides. Yeah. And then his printer broke during the day. And he was about 20 centimetres from your face with a black and white blurry image on a like a A7 piece of paper, like a postcard, going, can you see the elbow? Like it was like a trial of Brett Rosebury.
Yeah. OJ Simpson.
The gloves. Get him to put the glove
and
on.
I was pissing myself laughing because like you were like, mate, I actually can't see what you're showing me. I don't know.
He got to slide 9 or photo 9, but he struck him at photo 10, but there was no photo 10. They didn't go one more. They're like, he's never hit him. I'm like, yeah, because it was photo 10. It was a funny tribunal. I probably never lost my cool in that environment ever. But for some reason, David Grace got under my skin that day.
Yeah, you wrapped it up, didn't you? So I don't care, mate. Whatever. Whatever you say, Mr. QC.
Are you aware of what happened post with Scully missing games anyway?
So I got 2 weeks, then got off, sat through 4-hour tribunal because you were stuffing around with David Grace and his slideshow. I had to train the next morning. I did my hammy.
Oh,
and so I missed the weeks anyway. So I got off. So I had the moral victory, and then I missed out anyway. It was very good.
There you go, Karma Bus. Teach you to lie at the tribunal.
So I mean, the question. Yeah, hang on. Okay.
Teach you to lie at the tribunal.
Okay. So the question I was going to ask: did I strike him or not?
I thought you did,
right.
But
well, with all the evidence in front of you,
we have seen Clayton also simulate at times.
So with all the evidence in front of you, as you sit here right now on the 2nd of February 2024, did I strike Clayton Oliver?
No, I stand by what I saw on that day.
Thank you very much. Good. Okay. You are getting old.
Memory's hazy.
Go see Specsavers, umpire. Very good. That was funny. So that was 2017. 2018, mate, we appreciate your time here today. So like I said, we had a lot to get through. We've got a little bit left to go. But I think 2018, big year for me personally. We won a grand final premiership. You are back on the big stage. You're back at the grand final. So you went 2015, 2018. So you thought West Coast kind of just aligned well with your form?
Body struggled a little bit after a little bit and maybe just a little bit of drive maybe. Took a 6-week sabbatical in 2017, went to European summer for 6 weeks and decided just to take a bit of a break. So knowing that would cost me finals and potential stuff like that. But I knew at that point, that was 2017, I said to Wayne Campbell, I reckon I'm going to umpire for another 10 years. So I think something like this would be really good.
You've done the Damien Hardwick is what you've done, isn't it? That's what he's done.
So, I
spent... The Kentucky tour for 6 months before he goes to the Gold Coast.
It wasn't a Kentucky, but I'm not that much of a bogan.
You're from Armidale. You're a bogan.
Did that and then obviously got back to work and obviously something worked and got through and got back to grand final day.
Before we get there, while we're talking about taking breaks, didn't you go to Ibiza in the middle of the season one year?
Tel Aviv was the correct answer. was another
Tel Aviv. How good's Tel Aviv?
Unbelievable. Probably not so good at the moment.
No,
but,
good point.
It's an amazing city.
So you went in the middle of the year, no one knew?
No one knew. I kept it secret for quite a few years.
We're not revealing it now.
No, it's already been revealed, but I have no exclusives. Sorry, mate. But Hayden Kennedy was a coach at the time. It was mid-season break, so we were given a weekend off, and we were given 4 or 5 days off. But I needed 7 to
really fully recuperate.
Yeah, and to get there and back
flight time
in 6 days. And I remember landing back on the Tuesday morning, and I was like, I'm going to get to training tonight. And I'd been on the beach for 6 days and tanned, come back in Melbourne, winter. So there I am thinking, what am I going to do? So long sleeve, beanie, ended up rubbing white zinc all over my body just to like rub it in and try to bring the tan down a little bit.
That's amazing.
And then no one ever knew. It was a secret between me and a few of my mates. It was a mate's birthday and we were all sort of wanting to go away, and that was what it was for.
That's incredible.
So yeah, it was a good little trip.
Best I ever heard, Sharrett Wellingham went to New York in the Christmas break just because he wanted to go to New York for Christmas. Like we had like a 6-day break and went to New York and back. You're on par with Sharrett. So 2018, back at the grand final after a couple of years not in the grand final. It's a West Coast Collingwood. Great game.
Amazing game. And yeah, like you guys obviously jumped them 5-goal.
They jumped us.
Sorry, they jumped you. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. They jumped you 5 goals.
Yeah.
Head start or kick those first.
Yeah.
And then you guys just clawed them back. It seemed like the rest of the game was just little moment by moment clawing them back. And then they kicked the first 2 of the last quarter.
Yep.
And to be honest, at that stage, you thought, okay, they're going to run away with it. Did you think that at that time?
Yep.
Yeah, they kicked the first 2 straight after 3-quarter time. And you thought, okay, they've got the run on momentum here.
It was interesting though. Like there was 3 kicks in the first 3 kicks of the last quarter were goals. So they kicked, well, maybe that's 4 kicks. Like centre clearance, goal.
Yeah.
Degoe out of midfield, Hamhebel, goal. We got a centre clearance. Nathan Vardy marked it, goal.
Yeah.
So it's sort of almost like within 3 minutes there'd been like 3 goals, but nothing really happened.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those games for us. But it did come down to the last final few minutes. And it was an interesting point you made before that no one really cares about umpiring in grand finals, that there's not a close game, which is true, right? There's
it's true.
There's nothing on the line. And no one really cares about what happens unless you win, the winners. No one's thinking about a moment in the 10th minute of the last quarter in a game that's done by 10 goals.
No.
So those big moments are formed when games are close. No bigger umpiring decision in my career than Dom Sheed from the boundary, and you were the man in charge.
Yeah, so, in the moment, didn't even wink at it or think anything about it. Like it was just saw all the contests and everything like that and just honestly didn't think much about it at all. And like that's just how or umpiring, it's instinctive. If you see an infringement, you'll pay it. And I still look back at it now and I can see why it's debated. I can completely see why. Depends which side of the fence you sit on as to whether you think it's right or it's a wrong decision. And it's a bit one of those ones I look at and I could justify it both ways. And that's the nature of umpiring in some regards. Some of the decisions do sit in that grey bucket, and do they come down to moments in games, or how do you umpire? Were you consistent on that during the day? There would have been lots of similar contests and, feathered actions, like blocks or bumps or, inside 50.
Yes.
Every marking contest that are not infringements.
How many free kicks would you pay? What sort of average free kicks you pay on a given day?
Let's call it 30 a game or something like that.
So it's not the first time your whistle's gone to your mouth or not gone to your mouth, right?
Yeah,
you're making decisions every second.
So we blow it 30 times, but ultimately we're making hundreds of non-decisions, that don't go into the stats.
That's a good point.
So we make hundreds, probably even 1,000 non-decisions over a course of the game between all the umpires. Every time there's a tackle, I've probably made 3 or 4, 5, 6, 10 different decisions every time there's a tackle. That's how complex tackling and holding the ball is. Like our brain is computing so many aspects of decision making to ultimately end on play on. But
and every time then there's 100 tackles a game.
Yeah, so marking contests is similar now. There's lots of players that are in the area and jostling and there's contact and, so I completely understand the debate on that one. And
can we have a quick look at it? It's all right.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. What do you reckon? So Liam Ryan marks on the wing. You're running through the middle of the ground, I'm assuming.
I'm the end zone.
As it comes in.
Yeah. To be honest, it's probably more of a play on call. To be honest, I look at it and I think, I've missed Dom Sheed play on, but people not really talk about more so about that.
And that would be definitely now, but 5 years
Yeah,
on
maybe not.
the interpretation of play-on's changed a bit.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, look, you can see Rioli there. He's probably in the drop zone is he about to mark the ball in some regards that probably helps him, and then Sheed comes in and takes the other mark. So that, we see that happen all the time where there's players in the drop zone. There's, they're taking the drop zone space and someone else comes over the top and they don't touch the ball or mark the ball. So, that happens in games lots.
I thought it was a brilliant piece of umpiring, Brett, to be honest. If you like my opinion on it.
Yeah, I didn't need to ask you what you thought about it. To be honest, I thought you might have said it was wrong.
I will say, so I'll do a couple of sportsman's nights around town, and you do get a mention because, I say, just to rile up Collingwood crowds, basically, I say, Maynard was blocked. She played on. He's never kicked a goal like that in his life. He had his eyes closed. He's hoped for the best and it's gone through the goals.
Tell him everything they want to hear.
It doesn't happen. Brett blows his whistle and we don't get to see him have a shot. So thank you very much, Brett Rosebury.
Yeah.
But it is, I think, really interesting from your point of view, right? If someone asked me about a kick that I did in any game I ever played in, I couldn't even, whether I missed, whether I hit the target, whether I was kicking it short or long, whether I was the man on the mark, whether I was going to step him. Yeah. That's a decision for you, right?
Oh, and our job is incredibly difficult because we don't umpire in slow-mo replays, We don't umpire in still photos. It's instinctive. It's 360 degree. 1 second I'm in a perfect decision-making spot. Next second I'm in a shocking spot because you turn away and I can't see what you've done with the ball. All of a sudden I'm blindsided, and that's no fault of me. It's just the nature of how dynamic this great game is. And, we are so instinctive and we live and die by ultimately our good ones, our bad ones, and the ones that are up for debate.
So living and dying by the sword, stand by the decision, non-call?
Oh, in the moment, I don't have an opportunity to take it back or change it, so all I can go is in that decision-making. I didn't flinch. I didn't think about even, that's a free kick. So in my mind, it didn't stand out. If I thought it was a free kick, I would have paid it 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the answer.
Yep.
Sucked in Collingwood. No, Brett didn't say that. Now, do you guys review the grand final? Because as players, playing in two of them, it's like a bit of a, okay, is it the same? It's a bit of a here's some plays, but also
Yeah, it is a little bit. I know the coaches review it. I know I've watched them, and you might see it at the pub the next day. Umpires do it. We do our Mad Monday on a Sunday. We're so, modern with it. The umpire's Mad Monday. We do it on a Sunday. Silly Sunday, yep. So generally it's on the screen at the pub or you'll see it replayed for the bits. So I'll watch bits of it, but
it's not
I'm not sure I've gone down and watched replay in every game and moment like I would do in a home and away analysis and watch back your performance. There's something about that grand final day and moment that's the end and where am I going? I'm out of here. It's
parked it. See ya.
Yeah. Okay. You can't change anything. And it's okay, see you in 6 weeks. Yeah. And we'll be back again next year. And, of course there's things that will come up on the coaching. We've just reviewed the final series in these weeks back as a group in Melbourne. And we've gone through lots of decisions from the final series when all the umpires are back. So, because during the finals, it's just the finals and it's a bit like Survivor. So, there's 16 1 week and then the next week there's only 8 and the next week
there's a bunch of them sitting around with torches.
Couple of blind sides.
Up comes the AFL, puts out your torch.
Couple of blind sides.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the umpiring panel during the final series. Could make a show out of it. It could be quite funny, actually. You go up there and put out Razor Ray's his light.
That would be very good. Tribe has spoken.
It's pretty much like that. And then we're all
which must be brutal. I'm having a laugh.
It's brutal.
It's brutal.
It's every umpire wants to do the grand final. Every umpire thinks they're good enough to do the grand final. Maybe not every year, but over the course of their career, that we've got 16 umpires that make the finals panel. Under a 4 umpire system. And every single one of those is like, I'm a chance to umpire the grand final. So that's a lot of disappointed. That's 50% of your list is shattered. Yep. Ultimately, that's how much our guys and girls love umpiring AFL footy, and they want to umpire on the biggest stage. That's why you do it.
That's a little hidden benefit of the 4-umpire system.
Yeah,
someone else getting rewarded for a season.
No doubt. Everyone gets an extra final across the game. So from a development and more experience and growth, yes, and then ultimately 4 people get to experience and the opportunity to umpire on grand final day. So definitely, and we saw that this year, 2 debutants. They've not run 2 debutants in a grand final since 2003, I think.
And that's what it was this year?
Yep. So
that's pretty cool.
So 2 out of the 4 were first-time grand final umpires.
Because there's a real focus right now to develop the umpire fraternity.
Yeah.
Excuse me. to develop what you guys are doing, to get more people, girls and guys, up to the to the quality, right?
For sure. The growth of the game with girls' footy and women's footy across the country has exploded, and that's why there's shortage of umpires. It's not because everyone can't tolerate the abuse or what's happening at community. Community groups are great. The camaraderie at local umpiring groups is amazing. Great bunch of people, amazing fun times, real social aspect. It's just the growth of the game has completely exploded.
And the numbers.
And that's why there's a call at the moment is to start the season coming up here is, if you're a young umpire out there, come back and take it up again. We want you back. And if you're an ex-footballer or you love the game of footy, you want to be a goal umpire, boundary umpire. If you're a runner and you love running, come be a boundary umpire. If you like just being involved, there's lots of goal umpiring opportunities around the amateur leagues and stuff like that where they need more umpires. So, there's so many different layers. If you're an ex-player and you still love the game and you love your local footy club, come and umpire.
How far past it are we talking?
Yeah, there you go.
No, I reckon you're a chance.
Too far over the hill.
I
said this to Dino.
Yeah,
used to be a runner. Used to be. That's a keyword.
Maybe community umpiring round this week will get you out there. Get you out there. Maybe that's a challenge.
I wouldn't turn it down.
But I think, I always say give it a go, and I guarantee you'll be like, oh, that was actually good fun. That was actually better than I expected. It wasn't complete train wreck what I was expecting. I guarantee anyone that gives it a go will love it and realise how good it is. You get fit, you involved, great seat in the house, but ultimately you get paid too. A lot of these young kids running around earn good money in the community.
You'd love the power too, I reckon. Being out there just...
How'd you go with your backwards running? I reckon you might struggle with that.
It's funny you say that. Look, it's never come on the podcast. I was the fastest backwards runner at West Coast. I'm not joking. Mate, we
would
line
up and run.
I'll tell you this, Lewis Jetta was second. We used to race. We were very bored at stages, man. We used to race.
So this wasn't an organised race. It's just the boys getting together.
Just the boys doing boys things, running backwards, like trying to race each other. I'm a quick backwards guy, yeah. I'm backwards man.
Yeah. Well, I run the tan sometimes, and occasionally these people will run up and they'll start running backwards past you. And we're like, these guys taking the piss? But no, they're actually just running backwards.
Do you ever run backwards?
No, like on an oval, but not round the tan in Melbourne, like on a tan track. So this dude started running backwards past us, and we're like, is this guy just putting shade on us?
What was he doing?
No, he was just practicing backwards running. Maybe he thought it was good for his calves.
That's incredible stuff. We've probably got to wrap this up at some point. You umpired the grand final over here. Like it may, given the deal the MCG has in place, it may be the only grand final out of Victoria in the next 100 years. Yeah, it was amazing. Obviously, COVID years and it had been locked down, jumped border, and literally 21 days quarantine straight to get into Perth. Because our mate, Mr. McGowan, reset us when we arrived. Even though I'd already done 7 days straight locked in a hotel room in Queensland with police guard, but we got reset when we arrived. So we ultimately did 21 days quarantine and then had a few days off before the grand final. But, amazing experience to be able to do a grand final here. My 90-year-old grandma got to come to the game and experience an AFL grand final for the first time. So, and watch me umpire ultimately. So, it was a really special time, and it's something I will treasure to be able to say I umpired the one and only AFL Grand Final. Did Max go and try to give you a high five during that game? Yeah, I've said this story. Max, he's a funny
funny character. And I've done some charity work with Max outside, so have a little bit of relationship. And Melbourne had kicked a goal late in the game, and clearly they'd won the grand final. And he's running back through half back, and he's run up to me and goes, "Come on, Brett, get up and about." And he's tried to high five me as he's running past me, and I'm literally just getting out of the way. I'm
So you completely burnt him.
Yeah, I completely burnt him. Oh, Max, what are you doing? Like, literally, imagine the vision of me high five.
Oh, winner of the
my
grand final.
God.
Max gone as Melbourne's just kicked a goal. I was like, Max, no, we can't do that.
Can you imagine what would happen? There would just be a silhouette of you two high five. It could be iconic. I mean, you'd probably never umpire again in your life. But it may have been like one of those moments, like the umpire. You could have been used across, umpires around every year.
Yeah, no,
It'd be the same as the mark.
we can't.
yeah.
We can't
your
be doing
mark.
that.
It would have been iconic. Like Peter
Yeah.
Carey, he retires after marking the footy. Brett Rosebury wearing the number 8 retires after high-fiving the
All
captain
right,
of the
maybe
Premiership side.
who should I high five this year when they kick a goal? All right, set me a challenge.
Mate, Oscar Allen, West Coast.
Can't be West Coast.
Oh, okay. Max Gorn.
Yeah, come on.
All right, give Max a little low five.
I'd like
Yeah.
if we're going to track this, Nick. We put in the notes. We're tracking. We're on Rosebury watch.
All right, let's see how we go.
Very good. What was I like? Do you have any memories of me other than reporting me against Clayton Oliver? Or was it just another
No,
player too?
you're a pretty angry face, but unless you're just angry face all the time, like very serious.
Most backmen are though.
Yeah, it's part of what you're meant to do.
Not much chat. I was trying to think of
No,
interaction.
I don't think so. If there was, I would probably not have said much back.
No.
Like I wouldn't have known you that well. Like,
No.
so for me to have a little bit of banter with someone, I would more than likely have had to have had
Meet them.
a bit more of a longer, relationship or, experience umpiring them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I thought you.
Oh, I was going to go one more. I don't know if we're going into Schofield in a sec, but I was thinking about umpire dissent and how you adjudicate whether or not you want to give a free kick or if there's just... Obviously, when they first brought it in, it was pretty black and white. It was, but now it seems like you can sort of pick and choose.
Yeah, it's not pick and choose, but it's evolved to a spot that I think clearly we went real hard on it because we needed to, and we were seeing vision of I'd pay a free kick and you'd have 3 defenders surrounding you, all wanting an explanation, using their arms surrounding, and this intimidation type look that you see in soccer.
Yeah.
And it was a really poor look, and it just needed to go. And it wasn't the fact that I would explain my decision to one defender, but then you'd have defender 2, 3, and 4 all demanding an explanation. And I was like,
It's always the defenders.
I was like, what is going on here? Like, where's this all come from? And so that's part of the background of why that came in. And then there's that, clear dissent in the umpire's face that trickles down to junior footy. Like, so that's the role the AFL also has. We had to send that strong message down around you can't be abusing umpires. It's not part of the game. Respect the umpire. They'll make a decision. Get on with it. Get on, play the game. Like, umpiring's not going to be perfect. So,
And you still are like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you still want the interaction because it makes your job easier.
yeah.
You want to be able to have a discussion with the player. You want to be able to talk about things, right? You don't want just whistle, shut up, I don't want to talk to you.
No, and it's there, right? You know, but you can see players checking themselves now. Or you can see players like, and then they'll come over. We're okay for a conversation, but come to us in the right way or the right moment of the game. We're trying to set Jeremy Cameron up on a shot, left foot hook, got 10 players on the protected area, and I got 3 defenders going, what was that for?
Why is it the defenders?
It's always the defenders.
they're the only ones going to pay the frees against.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
But it's so I think we've got to a good place last year. We didn't see much at all. Like it really went out of the game. The players, like anything, they react to what we allow and what we don't allow real quick. So when they know we're going to be paying frees for them swearing at us or intimidation type in our face, they stop it. And 50-metre penalty is such a big penalty that their coach will be not very happy with them. Especially if it results in a goal or a turnover or something like that. So, I think it's in a good place, and hopefully it continues in that space and helps the junior umpires in a lot of space. Because to be honest, I couldn't care if someone abuses me like at AFL, but it's more about what it does.
Yeah. Trickle down,
trickle down effect and stuff like that. But yeah, there's still time for banter and still room for education at times. It's hard to always educate or always explain. That's what this time of the year is good for when we're at clubs, explaining and educating. But yeah, it's I think it's a pretty good relationship. What would you say the relationship between the umpires? It's better than what people think it is, right?
No, it's great. My only I used to complain about getting free kicks against, but I don't think I ever made it personal.
No.
But I was like, I'd kick and scream about all sorts of shit. I'd be, it wasn't a personal thing at you, Brett Rosebury, or it was the decision. It was probably the fact that I was pissed off with myself that it was a free kick, in the end.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever taken anything personal. I think that's what you got to do as an umpire. Don't take anything personal. People are white line, heat of the moment.
I would say
happen.
98% of players are all pretty good blokes, and there's some get on the field and lose their shit a bit. That's pretty much it. Mate, we're gonna wrap this up because we appreciate your time. 508 games, most in history. 9 grand finals, second most in history. Stevic's got you, but you're doing well. I hope you've got some more ahead of you, mate. It's been a really interesting chat. Could sit here and chat to you about this stuff all day. I did want to finish on this. Just to highlight how old you are. Father and sons you have umpired. Do you know how many there are?
I don't know how many. But
I was going to say how many
I'm going to say there's at least probably 12 to 15.
Well, I've got 7 in front of me.
Oh, okay.
Do you think it's 12 to 15? Well,
I thought Swamp might have helped you out.
I asked Swamp for a few things. He didn't quite.
So we can start with. So I'll say the fathers where I can. Tony Liberatore
and Tom. Yes.
Adrian Fletcher.
And Jasper.
Marcus Ashcroft.
And Will.
Gavin Brown.
And Callum.
And was it 2 Browns?
Yeah, there's a second Brown, yeah. What's his name? Can't remember.
Oh, there's so many. Scott West.
Oh, and correct.
Riley West. There's Bulldogs have got a few. Luke Darcy.
And Sam.
You go, help me out.
Carlton player. We spoke about him earlier on.
Oh my god.
He got knocked
Princess
out by
Park.
Got milled.
Silvani, yes. Sorry, yep. Jack Silvani,
yeah.
Silvani. And today the Eagles, so the young rookie, Dewar.
Yes.
So I used to play footy with his dad.
Yes.
He was in my footy team at Armidale, and we went to school together.
You umpired Derek Hall.
Yeah. So there's
Clay Hall's just signed on with West Coast. I got one more in front of me. Brownlow medalist. Brownlow medalist. He played with 2 teams. He played with Collingwood with his second team. He won a Brownlow with a different team. No. Yes, that's right. He won a Brownlow with Melbourne.
Oh, Woden.
Shane Woden with Taj.
Oh, yes, I do see all these young kids get drafted and just be like, oh, not another one. It's literally
it's bloody cool. I think it's great, mate, to see the sort of generation you've gone over. So that's the end of the interview. Did you have fun?
Thanks, guys.
Social media, before we finish, this is from the people for you. You've heard enough from Dan and I. We're going to go ask a couple of questions from the people because they were interested to hear a couple of things. Rapid fire it. Yes, no's, whatever you like. Dan, take us away, mate.
You want to start from the top?
Sure, mate.
From Robbo Gray.
Nah.
No, that's
RW.
You're going to ask me my first car. Someone's told me the first car one you have to ask.
Thanks to Fleet Network driving the podcast in 2024.
Thank you very much.
What was your first car?
Well, confirm for you that was a Bogan. VL Commodore.
Oh,
yes. So it was a white VL Commodore with Pursuit rims. It was
so good. What?
The Pursuit rims. You don't even know what they are.
No, I don't.
You're too young.
Do they spin?
The dot ones.
Oh, the dot ones. Yeah. VL Commodore.
VL Commodore.
Very cool car.
It was a cool car.
That's awesome.
Dubster.
What's the most satisfying signal to do? I.e. holding the ball, deliberate, etc.
It's probably like deliberate out of bounds, really, because the crowd,
the big wind up,
the wind up, or it's not even. It's the one where they're all calling for it, and you start running to the boundary line, and then you just say throw it in.
Yes.
Where they're all thinking you're going to pay deliberate, but you just give them the fake pump.
I don't know if you can answer this. Abspin.
Which player or team did you dislike umpiring the most?
Nah.
Nah.
Duckshon.
production. Oh, here we go. Which ground did you dislike going to the most because of one-eyed supporters that gave it to the umpires?
Oh, the ground. Oh, which was the toughest or worst place to umpire? Princess Park was tough in the day.
Yeah.
Like definitely tough at that ground.
For the amount of people, I've heard it was hectic.
Yeah, like especially coming off there, the old race. You'd walk parallel with the fence, so the fans could ultimately reach over and touch you, and there was no fencing back then, so that was always fun.
Cloudy 91.
What was the best sledge you received from a player or from the crowd?
Best sledge from the crowd. Scotty Cummings told me one day I was umpiring. It was a practice game of the Eagles, and I was 18, and obviously I was 19. Got on the AFL. I was doing a preseason game, and he was like, "You need to go back to school. You're too young."
Scotty. You didn't tell him about his weight back the other way, did you?
Nah.
Not quite. John Dawson.
Did you ever work at the Crown Casino?
No, can't say I have.
Got a doppelganger, maybe?
Really? Okay.
Maybe.
Any players? This is Groovy 4.
Which player gave the most lip?
Most lip. Oh, there's a current player that's probably still there, but I won't name him because
Can't do a current one.
Can't do a current one. That's for some reason we just seem to clash still. I don't know why. Don't know what they did to him. Back in the day. Oh, I don't know. No one's.
Did you ever review stuff like Dougie Hawkins? Like it wouldn't that player versus umpire relationship.
Not that
was
old.
hectic.
I'm not.
No, obviously you didn't
I'm
umpire Dougie Hawkins, but you would have seen the type of players giving lip like that.
Yeah, like there's none of those.
Peter Jackson.
Or Brian Taylor going crazy in front of the umpires.
Shaking the
fist. Like someone like Martin Pike, not abusive, but like probably one of the best characters that you ever got to umpire. And he was the kind of guy who's like, if I abuse you today, just tell me to fuck off. And I swear.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
just tell me to.
Yeah,
because
great.
I'll respect that and I'll react and be like, okay, no worries. But if you like try and manage me, I'll just keep going.
So he'd have a pre-chat with you, just say, I'm about to lose my shit here.
Yeah.
Just
so
let
if I go off you today, because he was like one of these guys, most amazing guys, chatty before the game. And you say, if I'm going off for you today, just tell me to,
Like
That's
that.
great. The last one, Eggman.
How do you like your eggs?
Scrambled eggs, man.
Is that right?
Yep.
It's good to hear.
Yep.
BackChat
Easy.
_. Find us on socials. BackChatstudios.com.au. You know what to do there. Driven by Fleet Network this year. All of our other sponsors, you know who you are. You're doing great things. We're just firming things up with a few people at the moment, Dan. So everyone else, backchatpodcast.com.au. Brett Rosebury, mate. Thank you very much for your time today.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.